the 2024-25 season has been a wild one for the Chicago Bulls. And while the regular season is coming to an end and the Chicago Bulls prepare for the play-in matchup against the Miami Heat, we're going to look at some of the biggest things that we learned about this team this season. Also, Josh Giddey's wrist injury, how much of a concern is that for the Bulls playing game? And Lonzo Ball has officially basically been ruled out until the start of the official playoffs for the Chicago Bulls. We're going to talk about all these things, plus more, right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go to get into this content for today, y'all. And I want to start off with some of the biggest things that we learned that were some of, the questions coming into the season for the Chicago Bulls. And the first one that I wanted to start off with, and, usually I like to start off in a positive place, but I'm going to start off in a real place. It's neither positive nor negative. But one of the questions coming into this season was DeMar DeRozan and or Zach LaVine holding Patrick Williams back, right? Was the thing that we saw from Patrick, was he going to step up with having a bigger responsibility? Hell, Patrick Williams even in training camp with the start of this season said, hey, I'm coming in here. I'm coming in as a leadership role. I want to be a leader for this team, both on and off the court. And then, so I think we found out that it was not DeMar DeRozan. It was not Zach LaVine stunning the growth of Patrick Williams. And before people like Winton get to commenting, it's not Billy Donovan holding back Patrick Williams either. And one of the reasons I say that is that you look at a player like Matas Buzelis, right? Matas, a guy who stepped into Patrick Williams' starting power forward role, and for the most part was used the same way. Now, stylistically, there are some differences, but I think those stylistic differences just come down to the mentality that Matas Buzelis has. Not because Matas Buzelis was all of a sudden getting more shots or a higher priority. Matas Buzelis, as a starter this year, averaged 10 shots per game, which is more than the 9 shots per game Patrick Williams added, right? Because, again, Matas Buzelis goes after putbacks. He moves without the ball, things like that. But even with that one extra shot per game, because that's all it equated out to, one extra shot per game. Despite that, he averaged 4 more points per game. He averaged several more rebounds per game. He averaged way more blocks per game. And he's just a much more active player for the Chicago Bulls on both sides of the ball. And while Matas' season defensively was nothing to write home about, Patrick Williams also taking a step back in that area, right? Being a worse player defensively this year by a large margin, right? Patrick Williams is almost allowed 80% at the rim. That's so farther above anything that you expect from a player playing the power forward position. And so when you look at that, like it brings some shit together, right? As a starter, Patrick Williams also shot the ball 38% from the field. As a starter, Matas Buzelis, right? He shot the ball 47% from the field and 34% from three, which isn't great, right? That's not amazing by any stretch of the imagination. Patrick Williams did technically shoot better from three than him as a starter at 38%. But again, most of Patrick Williams' shots were three-pointers, right? So it comes down to that, man. Matas Buzelis averaged more than a rebound per game, more assists per game, way more blocks per game, more steals per game, right? So no, it was not. For those that, and I know some people are still going to want to make excuses for Patrick Williams and say, well, again, it was the role, Haize. It was the fact that he's the fourth option. All those things could still be said about Matas Buzelis. And at the end of the day, Matas found more ways to impact the game than Patrick Williams. It just is what it is. So I'm sorry, when it comes down to that, Patrick Williams just did not have a good year. Everything about him dropped across the board from last year. The points per game dropped. The rebounds per game dropped. The assists were the only thing that grew. Blocks dropped. Steals dropped. Everything, he went down, and defensively went so far down. And after getting a $90 million deal, you just expected more from P. Will, and I'm sure the Bulls did as well. P. Will, it's nobody holding P. Will back. It's not coaching. It's not DeMar DeRozan. It's not Nikola Vucevic. It's not Zach LaVine. It's not anybody. It's P. Will that's holding P. Will back. And I mean, he still has an opportunity. I mean, he still's going to have a ton of opportunities to grow and to change that mentality, but it still comes down to that mentality for Patrick Williams, in my opinion. Number 2, Matas Buzelis has star potential. I know we just talked about Matas in the thing, but when you look at it, man, Buzelis, since the Zach LaVine trade, 13.7 points per game, 4.4 rebounds, 1.7 assists. He played really good, and in a role where not a lot was required of him. The Bulls still didn't run a lot of plays for Matas Buzelis. Now, you saw towards the end of the season, the last few games, we ran more point forward opportunities for Matas, and that's great, right? But Buzelis is probably going to see an uptick in minutes next year because he's going to probably start off the season starting. He's gonna be playing really well. He's gonna come in with a different mentality. He's gonna know what's ahead of him and things like that. So alongside Coby White and Giddy, Matas Buzelis has shown himself to be a foundational piece going forward for the Chicago Bulls. Now, we've seen players have really good rookie years and then kind of start tapering off after that. I don't think Matas is going to be that guy because of the mentality that he has. And his mentality is all built around he's going to outwork you, right? He's not one of those guys who's like, oh, I'm just better than everybody and I'm going to always be better than everybody. He has this sense of, hey, I'm better than you because I work harder than you and I'm going to keep working harder than you, so I keep getting better. That's going to keep me better than you. That mentality that Matas Buzelis is part of the reason the expectations are going to be so high for him coming into his second season, and he's earned that through his play, right? It's not anything that's just given upon him. He's earned that through his play. So while, again, I got to call my boy Winton out. Winton likes to just go to some weird hypotheticals. Who's like, we don't absolutely know Matas is going to be a starter next year. Matas is going to be a starter next year. And he's not going to allow that to be taken away. Now, is he going to keep that? That's determined by how hard Matas works, right? He's going to have to continually work and go harder, and he's going to have to show what he can bring. And regardless of, I know before Winton gets to typing, Billy Donovan, he's going to say Billy Donovan's what Matas is never going to reach his potential under Billy Donovan. All right, cool. Giddy had his best season under Billy Donovan, better than anything he had in OKC. Coby White, best seasons under Billy Donovan, right? So, I'm not saying that Billy Donovan is going to be the coach to get us to the promised land. In no way. I don't believe that personally. I think once the Bulls get to winning consistently, Billy Donovan's going to have to get up out of there. But Matas still has so much room to grow, and that growth can be done under Billy. But Billy also has to wake up and realize what he has in Matas Buzelis, because he can't just be lavishing around with just 10 shots per game coming off vibes. You gotta work him into the game plan. The last thing that I want to hear, or that I want to say here, I don't give a shit how people feel about it. Josh Giddy proved all the doubters wrong. If you're still a Josh Giddy doubter, you're stupid. That's just let me not say that. That's a bit harsh. There's still reason to doubt certain things about Josh Giddy. But for the people that are just flat out Josh Giddy haters, you're stupid. Right? Doubters, no. Every player can have doubt around them. I think that's a fair thing, right? That was harsh for me. But if you're a Josh Giddy hater, just hate him blindly, stupid. Throughout 70 games this year, 14.6 points per game, 8.1 rebounds, 7.1 assists, 1.2 steals, shooting 45% from the field and 37% from three, right? He had 7 triple-doubles this season, 5 of those coming since the beginning of March, right? And, when it comes down to it, he went on, he hit a big shot. Josh Giddy played a really big role for the Chicago Bulls team, and it got better as the season went on. And as him and Coby worked out the chemistry, you just saw better and better from them. So those are the things we're really looking at for the Chicago Bulls, man, and things that definitely got proven through this season. We'll wait till the end of the play-in or playoffs, wherever the Bulls season officially ends. That's when we'll do our season grades for players. But players they're really, there was a lot that came out of this Bulls season that is signs for hope, signs that this team is heading finally into a direction, and we can see what that's going to bring for them going forward. Now, with that said, the Bulls are getting ready for their play-in matchup against the Miami Heat, right? And when you look at all the play-in teams, right, the play-in teams in the Eastern Conference finished very strong. The Orlando Magic 8-2 in their last 10 to finish the season. The Miami Heat 7-3 in their last 10 to finish the season, right? Both those teams, by the way, have a higher net rating than Chicago Bulls since March, which, is showing that those matchups can be tough ones for the Bulls. While the Bulls do hold a 3-0 record against the Miami Heat, we know that Eric Spoelstra is a little bit different once he starts game planning just for a team, right? And they've kind of got over their own kind of turmoil and things over the course of that season as well. The Hawks, they finished the season 4-10 in their last 6, and still in that play-in area, right? And we split the season series for them 2-2 this year. So that shapes up that this play-in tournament is going to be interesting for the Chicago Bulls. Regardless, we know that they face off against the Miami Heat first. They then will go on to face the loser between the Orlando Magic and Atlanta Hawks. but that's going to be shaped up to be pretty difficult as well, right? So when you look as well with the Hawks, like Zachary Richesher has definitely played much better, right as the season went on. I can't wait to see that matchup with him and Matas Buzelis. But let's focus back on the Miami Heat, right? And Billy Donovan was asked about having that 3-0 record against the Miami Heat, and he said this: "I'm a big believer each game is its own individual. What's in the past is in the past. You can take things from games, but to me, this is totally fresh and new. Everything is new. Sure, you look at how you played against them 3 times we played, but the roster changed, and so is ours. So it's not the exact same, the exact teams. Different year, different challenges, different opportunities." The Bulls and the Miami Heat seem to be destined to do this all the time, right? Like, this is the 3rd year that the Bulls have been in the play-in. This is the 3rd straight year we're taking on the Miami Heat. Now, the last 2 times, the Miami Heat have been the team to send the Chicago Bulls home. The Bulls are hoping that that's not going to be the case this time, right? And you're going to have to prepare, because one thing that this Miami Heat team is going to try to do, they're going to try to make what you do best difficult on you that day. That's what they're going to try to look at or try to do to this Bulls team. And the Bulls have to be prepared for that, right? And it's hard to prepare for a coach like Eric Spoelstra, because he's not going to do the same things that he did against you in the regular season. And much like Billy Donovan said, they also went through a major trade, and their balance had to change a lot. They had another rookie in Khalil Ware that stepped up as the season went on, and he earned more of a role as well for that team. So all those things are going to play a part into why this matchup could be very different, right? When you look at the last 10 games for the Miami Heat, they were 2nd in net rating in the entire NBA, 3rd in offensive rating, which is surprising considering how much of their offensive engine they lost with Jimmy Butler, 6th in defensive rating. They were 10th in true shooting percentage. This is a team that has been playing some pretty damn good basketball, and it's playoff atmosphere basketball. This is going to be a big game for these teams. Make no mistake about it. This is going to be a game where, hey, that chess match, coaching could be the difference here. And Billy Donovan, Wes Unseld, and Dunn Craig have to be prepared for Eric Spoelstra, Chris Quinn, and that coaching staff, because they're going to be doing some things that are going to try to expose what the Chicago Bulls do, period. That's going to happen here. And so whether it's Josh Giddy, Coby, all these guys have to be prepared, right? They're going to try to make the shooters beat you. They're going to try to stop Coby White and Josh Giddy from getting in the paint, and that's going to be a task for those guys, right? The hybrid zone has been the Achilles heel no matter which team has played it against the Chicago Bulls since the All-Star break, basically since the Zach LaVine trade, a little bit before that. But that hybrid zone, because our shooting has been so wildly inconsistent, has been a big thing hurting this Bulls team. So we're going to need Kevin Huerter. We're going to need Matas Buzelis, right? We're going to need, whether it's Julian and Dalen, P. Will, whatever it is coming off the bench, they're going to have to hit their shots. And they're just going to have to, right? Because you got to keep that hybrid zone. You got to keep that legitimate. And I've said it before, Matas is going to be a really big key in this game, because if Matas is hitting his shot and it forces Bam to have to guard him out to the 3-point line, or they're going to have to rotate a different player to guard him at the 3-point line so Bam can stay in that hybrid zone in the middle, in the paint, that's where a mismatch can be exploited. And so you're going to, if Matas is hitting his threes, it's going to be so big for this team. So we'll see, man. We'll really see what it comes down to with this one, man. The Bulls got to be prepared. If they're not ready, they can get punched in the face by the Miami Heat. And if that happens, man, it can be ugly in the first playing game. Listen, I have faith that the team can compete with any of these teams in the playing tournament. I just do, right? I know that they can compete with them, but you got to do more than just compete, right? For a team that's like the Miami Heat aren't, from now until tomorrow night, they're not doing nothing but preparing for the Chicago Bulls. Nothing but preparing for the Chicago Bulls. And you give Eric Spoelstra one opponent to focus on, things can get a little bit crazy when you do that, right? So the Bulls got to focus in on that. We'll see if they can. We'll see what they do. And overall, man, I think that this is going to be an important play. And this is the first time Coby's going to be the number one scoring option. First time Josh Giddey's going to get to play actual point guard in a postseason, right? The whole time. Matas' rookie year. Vooch, whatever Vooch wants to do going forward into the future, whether it's staying with the Bulls or moving on, right? And the depth pieces, right? The Kevin Huerters, the Dalen Terry, the Julian Phillips, the Zach Collins, the Patrick Williams. Hell, THT may even turn into a player that the Bulls need coming off the bench if they need somebody to pound the ball out and get and be able to put points on the board. So that's the thing that really could play a part into all this as well. And we'll see what the future does hold, man. But this is going to be an important game. We'll see what the Bulls can do. Let's hope that they are really prepared for this one, because if not, it could turn ugly real quick, real freaking quick. But all right, let's get into the next topic for today, Josh Giddy. Josh Giddy did not play in yesterday's game, really the last two games, because of a nagging wrist injury, right? Now, we know that we've heard things from Billy Donovan in regards to Josh Giddey's wrist injury, and at the time it felt like, all right, that's the reasoning for sitting him out, getting him some rest, but it seems like Billy Donovan really is concerned about it. He stayed in Chicago, didn't travel with the team, right? Billy Donovan said there's still really good hope that he's going to be able to play in the play-in tournament, so it's not necessarily a big question around it, but you do want to see how he did say he wants to keep a close eye on it and how he's moving later on in this week. And so, listen, we're going to be hearing some things about Josh Giddy and that wrist injury. Now, he had a wrist injury before he had his last game against the Miami Heat, where he put up 28, 16, and 11, got a triple-double. So we know that he's a tough son of a bitch, and he can fight his way through the pain and still play well. But it is something to watch out for as we head into this play-in tournament. It doesn't seem, like I said, it doesn't seem like they're going to rule him out or anything like that. So as of right now, it's just something to watch. But in watching it, we'll see what ends up shaking out for it. Let's hope that that the wrist injury is not a big deal and he's going to be good and ready to go. At least that's my thought, and we'll see what the future holds there. All right, let's get into the last one before we get out of here, and we're going to get a little bit into the mailbag. We got a voicemail from Jeremy, but let's get into that. Lonzo Ball is not playing in this play-in tournament. That's basically been made clear and evident. Lonzo Ball's out. He's doubtful. Per Casey Johnson, he could return early in the playoffs if we make it to that and face off against the Cleveland Cavaliers, but he's not coming back for this play-in tournament. And the Lonzo Ball saga is just, it's a weird one, right? Like he had a wrist injury early in the season that forced him to miss, it was like 12 to 14 games. He then misses 18 plus games with that same wrist bothering him later on in the season. When he had it earlier in the season, it did almost turn into a grade 3 sprain that would have ended his season. So it's not too surprising he's missed this time. But again, you gave Lonzo Ball a contract extension. It's basically a 1-year deal with worth $10 million. The second year is a team option. But, I know a lot of people have brought up that the Bulls turned down a first-round pick from Memphis, but it was lottery protected. Now, it does seem like it's not going to be in the lottery, so there you go there. But, overall, like the woulda, coulda, shouldas on that, I understand it. And listen, AK and Eversley got to sit with that and realize that especially when you had a player like Trey Jones step up in the way that he did, it's unfortunate that we're not getting Lonzo back, right? Like this Lonzo Ball thing, and it's not going to be something that just stops now. Lonzo is always going to have some type of injury. That's just it. He's an injury-prone player that also heals very slowly. That's the reality of what we've seen so far from Lonzo Ball. Now, if that starts changing in the latter part of his career, cool, great. But right now with the Chicago Bulls, I've said it before, the Bulls cannot bet on Lonzo Ball being on the court. They just can't. It's asinine to do at this point in time. So, we'll see what the future holds for Lonzo. If he does come back and play for the Cavs series, hopefully he plays really, really well. And, that's all I got to say on that one. But we do got a voicemail. We got one voicemail from Jeremy. I'm going to go ahead and play that now. I'll catch you guys on the other side of this.
Hey, what's up, Haize? This is your boy, Jeremy, down here in Oklahoma again. I just had to follow up, watching your show, hear one caller talk about that we need a number one. We don't have a number one. Coby can't be it. He said Giddy couldn't be it. I mean, the kid's 21, 22 years old, for God's sakes. I don't know how you can sit here and watch him play and say that Giddy has no chance of being the number one. And then he started picking on Matas, saying Matas hadn't lived up enough to this year, when that's totally wrong, in my opinion. I mean, Matas has already proven that if he had been playing all year, he'd probably be in the Rookie of the Year conversation. So I cannot sit here and listen to someone say that, I can see maybe Coby with his inconsistency, maybe he can't be the number one, but I definitely think Giddy has a chance, and you can't tell me what Matas is going to be. I mean, it's comical. I'm sorry, but I'm tired of hearing these people saying, they can already see what these kids' futures are, I'm a little red, so catch you later, and see red, everybody. I'm out.
Yeah, I agree with that. Saying what players can't be, right? I'll say, and that's why I try to always word it, and maybe I'm not always good at wording it this way, but this is what I mean when I say it. Like, nobody's proven themselves to be number one yet, right? And, the caller is saying, oh, well, they can't be. Like, people who say that, people who say, oh, well, the Bulls can only go so far with Josh Giddy as a point guard. It's like, how do you know that? Unless you know all the infinite possibilities of what could happen in the future, you can't really say that, right? You can't really put a cap on a player. Now, I will say this, for Josh Giddey to be a number one on a winning team, a truly contending team, he does have some things he needs to work on, as everybody does. Coby would have things that he needs to work on. Matas has things that he needs to work on before you can really say he's going to be a star. But you can see that there's a chance of those things, right, happening. Like, it's just about how they maximize, how they develop, how the team continues to get filled out as well to kind of maximize on their skill sets. And we'll see what happens in the future going around with that, right? So there's a lot up in air when it comes to these players with these young guys and things like that. And it's really kind of, here's the thing. Everybody kind of is trained to think, well, you need a surefire superstar before, but like you forget how to get there, right? Like yeah, there are players that have hype on them coming in, and they eventually do make it to that point. There's some players that turn into near stars, and you didn't really expect them to be a star, like Jimmy Butler, right? You got to continue to see how players are going to develop. You got to give them time, right? And that's why I don't want to see the Bulls make any type of big move for a star this offseason. Give it a full season of seeing Coby and Giddy, and then seeing how Matas develops in year 2. You got tons of cap flexibility in 2026 that summer, and that's where you make your move, because you have had now at that point a whole season of data and a half season beforehand to really look at what the ceiling of this team is, and that's when I think you have your opportunity to go in. Just my personal opinion. We'll see what happens in the future with that. But that's my time for today, guys. Make sure you guys are following us at Bull Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullcentralpod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, but that's thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See you right if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.